Now back to the Geek Speak radio show.
Most of these shows that you mentioned, they're all based on...
That's a very short answer to your question.
No, that's okay. I was going to say the shows that you mentioned, they're based on really iconic characters, like you said, the world knows and loves. As the team that's putting them together for the next generation, so to speak, how do you balance between keeping us, the original fan base, happy and keeping and building the next generation?
Well, again, that's kind of the challenge, but also we're super lucky in that if you liked Iron Man, then you know where we're headed. And what I mean by that is that I think as geeks, to quote your show and to consider myself a geek,
Right.
Look, I like Iron Man. I think it's a terrific character. But you'd be kind of hard pressed, other than maybe Demon in the Bottle and, some aspects of Armor Wars. And I'm sure that the listeners right now are banging their head. If you're a real Iron Man fan, you're probably banging your head against the wall going, that's not true. There are other great Iron Man stories. Maybe so. I think right now what Matt Fraction is doing is awesome. But when they were set out to make this movie 5 years ago, it was a challenge. What was the best way to present Iron Man? Because it wasn't like you could say, like with the Avengers, oh my God, there's Kree-Skrull War, there's the Korvac saga, there's the origin stories, if you're from the new group, there's Disassembled, there's Secret Wars, there's Civil War. I mean, there's so many stories that you can point to. Iron Man, not so much. And yet, to give credit where credit's due, Kevin and that group really came up with a terrific take that was true to the fan base and also sold it to the worldwide audience in a major, major way. That's our challenge. Our challenge is to find those properties that work on both levels, work for the comic fan base, but also work for everybody who is starting to get to know this world. And also, we're helped by the fact that the movies are as good as they are, and that they continue to come out and kind of spread the gospel, so that even just simple stuff that you like to talk about, which is, what's the world? Like, does everybody knows that there's superpowered people? Do they, and if they do, how do they react to them? What's great is that we're seeing so many of these kinds of films that to the average moviegoer, and then ultimately to the people that watch television, more and more people are accepting the fact that there are guys that put on armor. There are, people that can change into a giant green monster, that there is a teenage kid who can, spin webs and catches thieves just like flies, that you're not trying to explain an entirely new world to somebody all the time. And that'll help us out enormously in terms of being able to get our stories out to the widest audience possible.
And again, we're talking to Jeph Loeb. He's the Executive Vice President and Head of Television for Marvel Television. I'm going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll get more into the shows and see if we can get a little preview of what's coming up in the world of Marvel. Before we do that, we'll do the Buzz Report, come back, and continue the conversation with Jeph Loeb.